What is good, y'all? I've got some really cool changes for my boy Avalugg, both the regular form and the Hisuian form. So I'm flashing the Hisuian form on screen right now, but I'll be jumping between the two and talking about both of them because they do share two abilities and, one signature move at least. And they have very similar stats. So I love Avalugg. I think they're super, super sick. So in Sweltering Sun, they were semi-pseudo-legendaries, which is like my 575 BST threshold. Um, I opted to change that, although I think they're actually technically a bit bulkier on the physical side than they were in Sweltering. I just made them a lot less specially defensive. Like they had like 80 in Spadef and Sweltering, and now they've got 66 and 61, which is a middling Spadef stat. But then you consider the fact that they have a giant, 127 HP, and you realize it's not actually, the Spadef is still very high because of that giant HP. However, yeah, I've given them really cool stuff overall. So base Avalugg has some really unique traits over Hisuian, while Hisuian is much better offensively with sheer force and two exclusive flinch moves. So Hisuian Avalugg is one of the, if not the only Pokemon in the entire hack that gets, it's already rare enough to get one of these moves, right? If you go to the move guide. Oh, by the way, if you're new here, first of all, shout out to you. I appreciate you coming on the video. Second of all, pause the video, read the description. I've got a bullet point list explaining all of the basics about the ROM hack and the way it's balanced and the way I change things and why I change them the way I do. Is music too loud? I think it's okay. Yeah, so do all that, and then when you're done with the video, you can check out the move sheet down below in the Google Sheet, and you can look at all these organized categories because the moves are the foundation of how the game is balanced. But yeah, Avalugg, really cool. So if you look at the move guide, and most people, I wouldn't bother even really looking at the exclusives too much because it's unorganized and not very important because all of these moves are, for the most part, are listed already on the actual Pokemon sheet. Like as you can see here, I list what these do because they're exclusive, like signature moves. So yeah, it looks like a lot of them, but this isn't actually that many Pokemon that get these. If you add them all together, it's still a very small portion of the Pokedex. So these are really exclusive moves, and they're very strong, right? A 1 PP guaranteed flinch move in an in-game context is crazy because it's so easy to exploit and get a free flinch, get free damage, whatever, because you can time it. The AI is never going to switch out of that move. You never have to predict a switch with that move. You can just click it and it'll hit whatever you want it to hit. So very, very, very strong, both offensively and in terms of utility, right? So both of them have access to Mountain Gale, which is, so far, these are the only two Pokemon with it, and honestly, I doubt too many others will get it. If it is, it's like maybe one or two other physical ice types at most. I didn't give it to Glastrier, for example, who's another slower physical ice type. He has his own cool stuff going on. You can check out his video if you're curious about that. He's a lot more offensively oriented, and he's got battle armor and brute force and stuff. But yeah, Avalugg is really cool. So base Avalugg has water absorb. I chose to give them water absorb because their whole thing is swimming in the ocean. They like living in they're like an iceberg, right? So they float in the ocean constantly. And so I wanted to give them something related to water because Hisuian Avalugg obviously is living on land. He doesn't have that connection to the water anymore, which is why he doesn't learn Surf and Hydro Pump and actual good moves like Liquidation and Wave Crash. He doesn't get any of those. Meanwhile, I gave Wave Crash to base Avalugg. And I also give him Flip Turn, which is a reach. I'm acknowledging that it's a reach, but shut up. No, it's because I really want to differentiate base Avalugg more. So I think giving him Flip Turn and giving him with Regenerator is really cool. Because obviously Hisuian Avalugg, despite having the quote-unquote worse defensive typing, although it's not actually worse because you do resist stuff like normal normal and poison, right? Is that the only resist you gain from being a rock type? It might be, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's just. Am I missing one? Hold on. Let me. Nah, I think it's just normal and flying. Flying is a big one. Yeah, flying is a big one. So flying, normal, and poison, which is it's nice. Three extra resistances is good. Very good actually. I'm kind of hating. It's very good. It's just the main thing is that you have the offensive sheer force, the extra stab, and then you have the OP rock drop. So you get Mountain Gale at 50. Which is the final 3/4 of the game, and then Rock Drop is an extra 10 levels later, just because I don't like giving you two flinch moves at the same time. I think having to wait a little bit longer for the second one is fair, because man, having two of these is crazy, man. The sheer force off of 132 attack, they are so strong, you don't even need to run the flinch half the time. Obviously you can, for example, you can go for a Rock Drop / Mountain Gale into a Ice Shard to finish them off, which is good, but you don't even have to do that half the time. Point is, it gives you at least one free kill, maybe two free kills. Not to mention, Hisuian Avalugg also both Avalugs really take advantage of Quick Claw, which is now a single-use consumable item. So essentially, that's a guaranteed trigger, right? So you switch in your Avalugg, you take whatever hit. Of course, they're throwing at you, take it, no problem, and then you blow them up with Quick Claw, you know, Rock Wrecker, Quick Claw, Icicle Crash, Quick Claw, Icebreaker, all this, you know, Quick Claw coverage move, whatever. And obviously, these guys also love Avalanche, which they can teach via TM, which is really strong on them. That's a 140 power. Move essentially on them, with the quote-unquote downside of having to move last, but obviously they're so slow they're moving last pretty much all the time anyways, unless you're using Quick Claw or Mountain Gale or Ice Shard or something like that. But yeah, Quick Claw's a great item on them. They have really good bulk. I mean, I don't need to say that, that goes without saying. Incredibly tanky, especially now with the new extra bulk, and also resilient, which means that base Avalugg, all of his weaknesses are only dealing an extra 50% instead of 2 times damage. So he is absolutely swallowing even strong special attacks, right? Not to mention you can always take advantage of Assault Vest once in a while, which works really well with Regenerator especially. Resilient, I would say, is the most situational of your 3 abilities. You're probably only running that when you really need to take a specific attack that you cannot take otherwise. It also synergizes nicely with Weakness Policy, which synergizes nicely with Ice Shard and Mountain Gale, and then Rock Drop as well, if you're using Hisuian. So yeah, really cool on both of them. Also, if you're wondering why they lost Strongjaw, number 1, Sheer Force is better, if I'm being real. It's just a better ability. And then number 2, Strongjaw is cool, but I actually repurposed it into functioning for Mega Launcher instead. I swapped the flags around, because Mega Launcher is a much more, like, Sheer Force kind of outclasses Strongjaw, and also pretty much all the Strongjaw Pokemon make sense to have Sheer Force, while Mega Launcher is like a completely unique flavor ability. It doesn't overlap with Sheer Force at all for the most part, so that's why I opted to do that. You can read more about that on the move guide if you're really that curious, but on your own time. But yep, Sheer Force very strong. Fitting ability, obviously. I mean, he's a giant like iceberg guy. Like it says his like plows, things can plow through anything, right? Yeah, the ice armor can put steel to shame and shatter rocks with ease, and even base Avalugg says its cumbersome frame crushes anything that stands in its way. So they're both very strong, imposing physical Pokemon, which I think is really cool. I really do love Avaluggs, man. I love both of them. I think they're both really cool. I prefer the base form a bit, but I do like the fucking weird ass like mandible things that Hisuian has going on. The snowplow mandibles, I think they're pretty cool, pretty sick too. But I think base Avalugg has more charm to me. So I just noticed his design is more streamlined. I just noticed that. You guys see that? His body shape is like more of a table-esque, while like Hisuian is more like streamlined. I guess because, you know, I really could have given him Slush Rush. I was already thinking about that. I like this better anyway, but Slush Rush was a cool idea I was considering for a bit. And I would have to give him like 50-ish, 40-ish speed for that to, like 40 speed at least for that to be usable, worth using though, so I don't know, Anyway, Slush Rush is cool because of the whole snowplow thing, and then you can give Avalugg Swift Swim. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, Water Absorb is really cool because, you know, he lives in the water constantly. I think it makes sense for him to not take damage from water moves. Ideally, there would be like a water resist ability, but that's kind of mid. So yeah, cool little option there to switch to. All these Pokemon, every Pokemon in the game is balanced around being able to switch between its abilities. Also, I didn't cover the text for Regenerator yet because you can read it on top. But as you can see, it says why Regenerator, and it is a Pokedex entry talking about how as Avalugg moves, the cracks in its body deepen. But then this Pokemon's body returns to a pristine state overnight. And they also do get Recover naturally, which is kind of more like a little bit of proof that they can get a Regenerator. I think it makes sense. Same reason I gave it to like Regirock. Regirock has the same deal where like he kind of replenishes his body over time. So I think Regenerator is cool for that. And Recover, obviously they already got, Avalugg already learned Recover, so that's even more, because Recover's description is literally like restoring your own cells. Like that is the flavor for Recover. So I think most things that learn Recover in vanilla can probably be reached to have Regenerated to some extent. Not all, most of them. I would say like most of the non-psychic types, like, you know, obviously Alakazam doesn't make really much sense to learn to get Regenerator, but anyway, getting sidetracked. Avalugg really cool. I like the fact that you can pick between being weak to water or immune to water. That's pretty cool. Obviously, again, Hisuian Avalugg is very strong offensively, but so is base Avalugg. It's not like base Avalugg is weak just because it doesn't have Sheer Force or that secondary stab. It's just more of an incentive to use the one that has the seemingly worst type combo, although again, you do gain extra resistances and you can still maneuver around your weaknesses. And obviously, yes, you do take, you take more from grass and ground and water. You do lose the fire weakness, which is cool, but that's not a big deal when base Avalugg is only taking 50% extra damage from fire with Resilient anyway, and you also can just blow up a fire type with Quick Claw Wave Crash or Quick Claw Liquidation or whatever anyway. So it's not a huge deal to fire one. But yeah, I don't know. They both have their own strengths and weaknesses. It's really up to which of the two you prefer to use design-wise. And yeah, stat-wise, I like giving them big HP just because they're like these big, beefy iceberg guys. And yeah, they got tons of other cool coverage. So on top of like the cool water moves that normal Avalugg gets, they both get access to fighting moves and dark, even with health thrust. They get earthquake, they get gyro ball, they get stone edge, which is 100% accurate, 120 power overall. All types of really fun, nice, good options. Heavy slam, you know. And then again, that flip turn might seem, I mean, it is weird. I'm not gonna like lie to you. It is a weird choice, but I think it's cool. Just based on the idea that like they are maneuvering themselves underwater in a way that Hisui and Avalugg can't, you know? So I think it's kind of cool. And also it's a TM. I don't know. I like flip turn. It's a cool move. I love switch moves. I love regenerator plus switch moves. I think it's cool, especially on a slow, tanky Pokemon like this. Getting that slow regen pivot is really, really sick. So yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. If you don't like it, I don't really care because I like it. It's pretty much it, man. Some of the small things I could touch on, like exclusive access to Protect is actually very unique in this ROM hack. So if you're curious as to why I would even bother mentioning Protect, pause the video right now and read this if you want to. I don't feel like explaining it all because I don't have time, but yeah. Protect is a cool little exclusive option. It could be nice. On these guys, it's not really OP, and because they already have 1 to 2 flinch moves anyway, right? And again, I really cannot understate the power of how strong Mountain Gale and Rock Drop are. Like, they are so strong. It's a very, very strong tool, especially on a tanky, slow Pokemon like this. And then Icebreaker is really strong. That's Ice-type Wicked Blow. Same thing as Stone Edge. That can't be used twice in a row, but it's a very small drawback on such a bulky Pokemon. It's especially good synergy with Quick Claw, because otherwise if you're running like a slow Avalugg, you'd probably just run Avalanche instead. Although technically Avalanche doesn't double if you don't get hit first, while Icebreaker does. So there's still some, you know, if they're going to use a status